grow the Democratic representation at the state level. Republicans have been able to run roughshod over this state now for 20 years. It has been 20 years since we've elected a Democrat to the governor's mansion. And I believe 2018 is going to present our best opportunity to put a Democrat in the governor's mansion and set this state up for 2020 to put a Democrat back in the White House. If we don't get rid of them before then, right? But there's some things we're going to have to do as Democrats. One, we're going to have to make sure that we're talking to everybody about what it is that Democrats believe in and what we stand for. We cannot take a single vote for granted. And let me just make this point very clear. The Democrats have lost the governor's mansion in this state the last 2 election cycles by fewer than 1 point difference. Fewer than 70,000 voters have been the difference between us winning and losing. But more importantly, 70,000 votes have been the difference between whether or not we pay teachers what they are worth in this state, right? It's been the difference between whether we have a governor who believes in science and the reality that global climate change and sea level rise is real or not. It has been the difference between whether or not we're going to have 21st century transportation systems in this state, one that produces high-speed rail between across the I-4 corridor and then down to the population centers of this state. Y'all remember that President Obama tried to send us, what, over $1 billion? And what did Governor Rick Scott say? No, thank you. We don't believe in Obama stimulus, right? Well, it was a double crime, in my opinion. One, it prevented us from having the opportunity to build 21st century transportation in this state. But 2, it prevented us from the opportunity of getting people jobs, and good jobs in the state of Florida, right? 45% of the folks in this state say that they cannot make ends meet at the end of the month. They say that they cannot make enough to pay their bills, to take care of their family. And I know a little bit about that growing up in Miami-Dade County to a mother who was a bus driver and my daddy who was a construction worker. And I use that term lightly because depending upon whether or not there was work to do, you might find my daddy on the street corner selling flowers and vegetables and fruit or whatever it is that he needed to do to make a way for himself and for the family, right? That's what we do. We figure it out. We work it out, right? But in the state of Florida in 2017, we ought to be focused on building the kind of jobs that recruit the kind of talent, that raises wages, allows people to go to work working 1 job rather than 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, right? And that should be true not just across Central Florida, but all over the state of Florida. It is also what has led to my call that we increase the starting salaries of teachers. And by the way, in this state, our teachers are working starting salaries that are in the low 10th percentile of the United States. We're the 3rd largest state in America. The 3rd largest state. And people are, Gillum, how are you going to be able to afford to pay teachers $50,000? You know what it used to be? That teaching was an honorable profession and that you should earn a livable wage doing that job, right? So it shouldn't strike us as odd that we would work to make teaching, which I consider some of the most difficult work that happens, period. They're responsible for the making, the shaping, the molding, the inspiring, the encouraging of the minds of our most precious gift, our children. And the fact that we would find these individuals having to work not only a job as a teacher, but working at night in the mall, at a retail shop, is unfortunate. But more than that, it's a crime. They ought to be working on lesson plans for the next day. And they could do that if we paid them a wage that, by the way, was livable, a wage that was dignified. We have a teaching shortage in the state of Florida. And does anybody wonder why? We got a Speaker of the House that refers to our teachers as evil. A Republican-controlled legislature, House and Senate, that calls our schools failure factories. A legislature that has given away over $1 billion that should have otherwise made its way into the public system, that has gone into the for-profit private system. We've got to do away with high-stakes testing, which, by the way, doesn't tell us what our kids know, but how well they take a test, right? We got to pay our teachers what they're worth. And we also have to reinfuse in the 9th grade through 12th grade system trades, skilled work, right? Woodwork, mechanical, electrical, technical work. When I was matriculating in the state of Florida, While college worked for me as the first in my household to graduate from high school and go on to college, for my older brothers, it was getting a trade that allowed them to get a job, go to work, and make a good way for themselves and their families, right? And unfortunately, we pushed that out of the system, basically saying that if you're not taking these high stakes tests and then on your way to college, good luck, right? And what I believe is that we're too diverse and too rich and too wonderful a state to let anybody's talents be thrown to the wayside. There's a use for every single person, and we've got to make sure they know they have a use. Put them to work, making good wages and good livings. Why? Because the number one fear of Floridians shouldn't be the fear of getting sick. Right? Shouldn't be the fear of getting sick. But unfortunately, because we have a governor who refused to extend Medicaid access to 1.5 million of the most medically needy people in this state, people are terrified of getting sick. Because if they get sick, they can't go to work. And if they can't go to work, they can't earn a wage. And if they can't earn a wage, they cannot pay their bills. And if they cannot pay their bills, their lights get turned off. Food doesn't end up on the table. Their clothes don't end up on the backs of their children. That's what happens. And that's why we got to put Democrats back in control, y'all. We got to put Democrats back in control. Because this is what we believe. This is what we stand for. This is what we believe that's going to get our state out of a rut. So that we can stop trailing the rest of the United States and start leading the rest of the United States. Right? On everything from education to health care, to making sure that we've got early childhood education that is high quality, accessible, and affordable, because it is the largest and most important indicator as to whether or not our kids will have a trajectory that leads them on to a good living and a good life where they earn a good wage with good health and be able to retire with dignity. That's why we have to elect Democrats. We've got some good Democrats, y'all. And that gap that we got to close is about a 70,000 vote gap. And if we close that, it's not just the electing of Andrew Gillum or any other candidate to the office of governor. It is also about us winning on our issues, right? And that's more important. Every nominee I know that has failed at being elected to governor is making a good life. And I don't begrudge them that. So this isn't about an individual. This is about us as a state and where we're going, where we're trying to go. And that's why I'm moving out all across the state of Florida to red areas, blue areas, purple areas, name a color, what area? We're going. Why? Because if you get elected governor, you're a governor for all of the state of Florida. And you know what? We have to stop treating this race for governor as if this is the electoral college. You don't win one county and lose another. Pick up that one and lose that one and win governor. The one who wins is the one who gets one more vote. And I'm in here to make this point clear. I went to the Villages a couple of months ago, y'all. Y'all know about the Villages, right up the road, right? The most Republican voting precinct in the country and in the state of Florida. They got some other stats too, but certainly the most Republican. And I said, I'm going to the Villages. And folks were like, Gillum, what are you doing in the Villages? I said, they're voters in the Villages. And we got there, y'all, thinking that we might meet at this meet and greet 50, 40, maybe 100 Democrats. And we got there and this room was teeming with over 500 retirees. Almost not another face that looked like mine. And that's okay. And we talked to them and we took their questions and we talked about what it would mean to turn this state over to the Democrats and our vision for the future of the state of Florida. And when we finished, an elderly white gentleman got up and said, I believe Gillum ought to be the next governor of the state of Florida. And I want to put $20 behind your race. And then he said, if anybody else believes Andrew Gillum ought to be the next governor, I want you to put $5, $10, or $20 behind him. $27. For 27. I want 28. I'll raise you one.
And a golf cart key.
And a golf cart key. And in the Villages, you need that, right? When they finished, y'all, they had raised nearly $6,000 in $5, $10, and $20 contributions. In the place that they told me I wasn't supposed to go, right? Which is to the point that we gotta compete everywhere if we're trying to win, y'all. I have every belief that the numbers are out there. It is there for the taking. But we are not going to win this race for governor by pretending to be Republican-light. We're going to have to run what we believe, what we stand for, and why it is people ought to trust us again to be in leadership. And if we do that, If we do that, they will reward us with the keys of leadership. And when we get those keys, we're going to make it better for the folks who call this state home. We're going to make this a state of choice. We're going to make this a state of choice, not just because it's a tax haven, but because we believe in environmental change, and we're going to build the next generation of environmental jobs. And because we're going to raise the next generation of young people who are then going to occupy those jobs. And because you're not going to have to be afraid of getting sick in this state, because we're going to make sure that healthcare is a right, not a privilege in the state of Florida. Right? And so we can do that. And don't let anybody tell you any different. We have tried it the other way for 20 years. I believe it's time to run as Democrats, say what we believe, and compel people as to why they ought to give us a shot at leadership. And if we do that, we will win. I've taken more than enough of your time. But I just want to thank you and let you know that I cannot do this without you. I hope that you'll visit us at andrewgillum.com. I'm happy to engage in questions, but I'm outranked by the presence of the congressman and the chairwoman. And so I'm hopeful you'll be able to hear from them a little bit about what we've got to do at the federal level, because the congressman just flew in from having to vote against one of the worst bills in realignment of the economy, not just health care, but this tax bill, which is a giveaway to the rich. We just got back defending regular, everyday working people in this state. We ought to salute that and then send them back to go fight even harder to make sure that regular folks end up in the power structure in Washington, D.C. So thank you, Lula, and thank you all for the opportunity to speak.